Hi, Hilton here again, discussing an interview that I did with John Broadbent, author of Man Unplugged, this particular book here. Excellent book. This particular video is focused on younger men, and it's offering the wisdom of a guy who's really knows his stuff in terms of what's going to provide a satisfying direction in life, in terms of relationships, in terms of life's purpose, in terms of what to do, and fitting in with family and then fitting in with what you want to do, that kind of thing. It's a very useful video. I hope you get as much out of it as I would have got if I was watching this as a young man. In our 20s often, men will set this goal of, I'll be a millionaire by 30, I'll be a millionaire certainly by 40, and you know, there's just not that many millionaires out there. There's nowhere near enough of them to satisfy the fact that maybe this guy, he hasn't become a millionaire. He hasn't, he hasn't changed the world, or whatever kind of the grand vision was of a young man. How does that go for a man that's in his 30s or in his 40s and he thinks, I haven't done these things I really wanted to do when I was young? And I just wanted to get your take on that, John, that a little bit.
Which goes back to the rules.
Okay, yeah.
Of what we set ourselves. I'll be happy when.
I'll be happy when, yes.
And the question that I would ask myself in that situation is: am I a good human being? Do I live with integrity? Do I try and live an authentic life? Am I a good citizen in the sense of taking care of my children and my partner and whatever relationships you're in? And for me, integrity is about living to our values. We have to, because I had an argument with someone recently, and I was quite happy to be corrected when a coach that I know said integrity isn't a value.
Okay.
Integrity is living to your values.
Okay.
So if your values are to thieve and cheat and steal, and that's what you live, and you live to that, you're actually living in integrity.
Okay.
And I went, wow, that's a different perspective. But I agreed. I think that was a very novel way of looking at integrity. So if integrity is living to your values, it's important to know what your values are.
Right.
And a lot of people actually don't ever ask the question, what are my values? Are they actually my values, or are they values that I've absorbed or adopted from my parenting, from my culture, from my faith, from my upbringing, etc.?
Yeah.
And are those values what I actually value?
Right.
And Tony Robbins does a great exercise in one of his books. I think it's, I can't think of the book, but he does a great exercise where he actually had a look at what are my values and realised his values weren't his values.
Yeah, right.
So he did a complete revalues assessment.
Right.
And then he had a look at the rules that underpin those values, I'll be happy when,
right,
and realised they still weren't serving him, so he had to recalibrate those again, and then he set up values that were actually rule-based, of which he was in control of.
Right, okay. So, okay, that's really good to know. And what I'll do is, at the bottom of this video, I'll put some information about values and where people can get some resources about that. Because right off the top of my head, I don't know. But I have come across this before. So you're saying that a lot of the setup that we do for ourselves when we're young, perhaps, is as a result of these values that aren't necessarily ours, and the rules that we apply in terms of achieving those values,
yes,
and the way we should be in relation to those values may not even apply as well.
No.
So it's like a house of cards,
completely.
But I don't even know that it is that until I have a look at it.
Yes. Or you don't know it's a house of cards until, I mean, I'm writing a second book at the moment, and the foundational chapter literally is about: do you want to be the lighthouse on the rock that you see these big, massive waves and storms coming against? So there's a level of resilience to withstand life.
Yeah.
Or do you want to be the three little pigs in the house of straw?
Right.
And the pack of cards is the three little pigs' house of straw.
Yeah.
Because we collect all these rules and values and beliefs through acculturation.
Yeah, that's right.
To create an identity at a very young age, and we do it unconsciously because it's a necessary part of growing up.
Yeah.
And then in adult life, we get hit by the tsunami and we collapse because we hadn't actually done the inner work to build a solid foundation and resilience and values on which we truly can stand. That's of our conscious creation.
Right.
And so my question is, who would you rather be, the house of straw or the lighthouse?
Okay.
And inner work for me allows us to take down the straw house
Yeah.
at our own pace
Right.
and rebuild ourselves from the ground up with
Right.
solid foundations
Right.
to be more resilient.
Right.
Now, the only way to do that is through self-awareness.
It's through self-awareness. Through self-awareness.
Understand our puppet masters, as I call them,
Okay.
the strings that get pulled by our psychology
Right. And our culture.
and our culture
And our upbringing.
and all the
It's like,
stereotypes.
Yep, okay. And the movies.
You have to be like this
Yeah, that's
because you're this.
Mm.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And we see it. I see it all the way. Thankfully, the thing I love about being alive at the moment on the planet is John Robinson in that book Death of a Hero makes the comment in 1997, which I think is a very astute comment, that the patriarchy as a thousands of years construct is itself going right now through its midlife crisis.
All right.
Because the structures that have served over that time through to, First World War, Second World War, a million men dying at the Somme, males being the disposable gender, high-risk jobs, industrial accidents, suicide, like all this sort of stuff. Thankfully, there's a generation of men coming through probably in their 20s and 30s going, that's not me. They're wanting to spend more time with their kids. They're wanting to be take paternity leave and all this sort of stuff. So the transition is happening.
Yeah.
The sad part is I'm seeing a lot of those men are also looking for what does it mean to be a man. And I read an article recently where a guy went away to a weekend warrior type event
Yes.
to look for the answer of what is contemporary masculinity. And he came away disappointed because he didn't find one. And I'm sitting on the background going, well, of course, because thankfully that patriarchal construct is falling apart, which is actually providing opportunity for us as men to define masculinity for ourselves.
Right. Individually.
And I believe masculinity is now stepping into a whole new phase where it's now about our individual expression. And when I hear the phrase, for example, toxic masculinity,
Yeah.
it really gets the hairs on my back going, the back of my neck going, because I despise the term.
Right.
Because we don't have to genderise bad behaviour. Bad behaviour is bad behaviour. Whether it's men behaving badly or women behaving badly is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Just watch a TV show, reality TV show like what is it, Big Brother or something like that, and see how people are capable of behaving.
Yeah, well,
It's got nothing to do with gender. It's got to do with behaviour. And masculinity, its true sense, has some beautiful and wonderful attributes.
Yeah, of course it has. Of course it has.
As does femininity.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm really happy at the moment to see that is all in a wonderful state of upheaval because now it's having to be redefined.
Okay. And John, all of that bit, would you like to just summarise what you've just said in a way which, and maybe just to speak direct to the camera,
Sure.
on masculinity, roles, and various things that we've just discussed there? Would that be okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Give it a go.
So if you feel that if you're a man or know of a man who you might consider is sitting at a base camp and he might be feeling a little bit bored or a little bit scared about taking the next part of his journey in life, then it's important that he finds support and help, particularly from older men who've done that journey. And he'll know by simply having a conversation with them. There are a plethora of books out there, a whole heap of authors, all the way from Robert Bly back in the 80s with Iron John, Stephen Biddulph, who's Australia's sort of main author in this space. Man Unplugged obviously provides a bit of a handbook for those men wanting to take that journey too. And really the encouragement is to simply get the help and support that you need in order to take that step. And if getting out of base camp and going on a bit of a journey and climbing the mountain to see the view is something that calls you, then do it, because you absolutely won't regret it and you'll feel so much more fulfilled as a result.
Thank you, John. Thanks. Hi, I hope you enjoyed that video. And subscribe at the button below if you're interested in what we do. We want to make a positive difference, and if you subscribe, that really helps us do it. Builds the whole thing, builds momentum. That's important. So together we can make a terrific difference.